All season, I have been preaching patience when it comes to the New York Mets offense. But if they don't hit the Rockies pitching this weekend, I think I'm going to hit the panic button.
You are Locked On Mets, your daily New York Mets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all you amazing Mets fans. You're watching Locked On Mets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Ryan Finkelstein. I've been covering the New York Mets on this show since the 2019 season. This is the only podcast that covers the Mets 7 days a week throughout the regular season. If you want to find any of my written work, you can do so over at justbaseball.com, where I work as the managing editor. Now, all year, we have talked about this Mets lineup and the struggles they've been having, and I've always been consistent. Give it time. Juan Soto is struggling. Give it time. Brandon Nimmo hasn't gotten off to the best of start. Oh, he'll come around. Francisco Lindor, he's going through some ups and downs, but it's going to be Lindor. He's going to find his way. He's going to be all right. Mark Vientos, not the best start to the year. It's all right. He'll figure it out. Just always trying to stay in that mode of wait and see. Wait until you get to the summer months. And that's when you really know what type of an offense you have. Well, June is right around the corner. And while we can make all the excuses, and if you want to look at Juan Soto's stats, you look at the WOBA versus the XOBA. And for those of you who aren't aware, WOBA is weighted on base average. It's a stat that measures a player's overall offensive contribution per plate appearance. It's supposed to be more comprehensive than your traditional stats, batting average, on-base percentage, slugging percentage. This is supposed to tell you how effective an offensive player is. So you look at Juan Soto's weighted on-base average is 330. You look at his expected weighted on-base average. If you took the fielders out of play and you said based on how hard he's hitting the ball, where he's hitting the ball, what would his WOBA be? It's at 420. That is the largest discrepancy between WOBA and XWOBA of any hitter in baseball outside of Salvador Perez. So that tells us that by a statistic, Juan Soto is as unlucky as any hitter in baseball. Brandon Nimmo makes the list of the top 50 most unlucky hitters in baseball as well. But even with all of that said, again, we're near in June. And right now, you look at the Mets lineup, there's three guys who have an OPS over 800. Pete Alonso, 931. Jeff McNeil, 809. And then you have Jared Young, who's only done it in 5 games, 873. Every other hitter in this lineup is below 800, and most of them are below 750. You still have a couple guys above that. Who else was it? I think Tyrone Taylor might have been above that. Let's look real quick. Let's be fair, because to talk about what an average, nowadays an average OPS is like 720, but a good OPS, 750 is at least a decent OPS. Looking really quick here. All right, so Lindor's got a 789 OPS. Turan 786. And that's about it. Tyrone Taylor is still at 656 for the season because he had the slow start. Brett Beatty at 747. So that just shows you how much this lineup is struggling. And all those excuses, while there might have been some merit to it about, oh, they're hitting the ball hard, but they're hitting it at people. Oh, it's a streakiness of a season. They get washed away this weekend. The New York Mets have to hit this weekend because they're going up against the worst team in baseball when it comes to run prevention. No team is worse than the Rockies. So I don't care that over the last 15 days, Lindor's hitting 167, Juan Soto's hitting 114, Mark Vientos hitting 188, Nimmo 219, Alonso 217. I don't care that your whole lineup has been struggling. You have a perfect opportunity right here, right now, to snap out of those struggles, to get yourself on a good footing moving forward. This is it. 6 of the next 10 games are coming against Rockies pitching. This is the time for the bats to wake up. How bad have the Rockies been this year? Well, their record says it all. They're 9-47. But as a team, their ERA is 5.55. Their WHIP is 1.60. That's walks and hits over innings pitched. More than a base runner and a half per inning is brutal. And batters are hitting 296 against them as a team. Then you look at the starting pitchers. ERA for their rotation this year, 6.62. WHIP, 1.69. Batting average against, 321. The Mets have to hit this weekend because they're going up against the Rockies at home. Sure, going up against the Rockies at Coors is always great too. But facing bad pitching with your home crowd behind you, where the Mets have been so much better this year, they better be scoring at least 5 runs a game. They're going to have opportunities with pitches in the zone that they can drive. And they got to do it. They got to string together good at-bats. This is the weekend. Because this is not just a must-win series. It's a must-sweep series. You cannot lose a game to a team that's this bad. Their run differential in the season is minus 175. Minus 175 in 56 games. They're 25 games back of the Dodgers, and it's not even June yet. And you look at the pitching matchups. Kyle Freeland versus David Peterson. Freeland this year in 11 starts is 0-7. He's got a 5.86 ERA, a 1.68 whip. David Peterson's been great. Kodai Senga versus Antonio Senzatella. Senzatella's got a 6.50 ERA in 11 starts, 29 strikeouts, and 54 innings pitched. There's no swing and miss stuff there. A 1.94 whip, almost 2 batters per inning that he's allowing on the bases. Gotta crush him. And then you got Carson Palmquist, a rookie, versus Clay Holmes. Palmquist, 24-year-old rookie, has made 3 starts so far, 13 earned runs in 13 1/3 innings pitched, 8 walks to only 6 strikeouts, 19 hits allowed, 2 home runs, a whip over 2.03. And their bullpen, while better, is not much better. The Mets have arguably their best 3 starting pitchers on the mound this weekend with Peterson, Senga, and Holmes. And you're going up against a team that has 3 guys with ERAs over 5 and well over 5. You have to score early and often. You have to blow out this team. This should be a no doubt about it weekend. I talked about it going into the homestand. Win 7 of 9. So far, they handle business. They won their first 2 series. They're 4-2 on this homestand. Sweep the Rockies. There's your 7-2. And that's exactly how I laid it out. I said, there's a chance you might lose a game to the White Sox, but beat the Dodgers, beat the White Sox in the series, and make sure you take advantage of the Rockies. If you look at the next 10 games starting right now, 6 of 10 against the Rockies, win them all. Win them all, and if you win 2 out of 4 when you go to LA to face the Dodgers, it's an 8-2 stretch. So you got to take advantage of these opportunities. This is a bad baseball team. And the Mets have hitters that are certainly struggling, but I don't want to hear any excuses if Juan Soto is rolling over pitches. I don't want to hear any excuses if Lindor is striking out 3 times in his 5 at-bats, or if Mark Vientos can't seem to drive the baseball the way we've come to expect. This is a weekend where all those guys should be firing on all cylinders because the competition is that poor. So you got to go out, take advantage, and hopefully use this as a springboard. Last year, the Mets had a series against the Diamondbacks going into the month of June. Now, they split that 4-game set, but if you remember, that was the big series after they had faced the Dodgers, where you had Jorge Lopez launch his glove into the stands and the players-only meeting and all of it. And Francisco Lindor talked the talk, walked the walk, went 4 for 4 after the players-only meeting. The Mets won that game. They won the next game. They did lose the final 2 games against the Diamondbacks, but it was a start, and then they went to D.C., steamrolled the Nationals, swept them, wins the London series, and then the whole season took off from there. So we have seen the Mets have that ability to turn on that light switch once it hits June. The good thing is they're not 11 games under this time. The good thing is they're in prime position to still win this division. But part of that is beating up the bad teams. This is a great opportunity for the Mets. Hopefully they take advantage of it. What I want to talk about in the next segment, couple of rehabbing pitchers, Paul Blackburn, Frankie Montas, each of them made rehab starts. I'll tell you about them and where things stand with this rotation moving forward. We get to all that in just a minute. Today's episode is brought to you by Trade. Whether you're gearing up for back-to-back meetings, shuttling kids back and forth to activities, or tackling that endless to-do list, your morning sets the tone for it all, and that's why it should start with the perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour-over purist, they've got a roast that you'll love. I took Trade's quiz. It only took a minute, where they ask you how you prepare your coffee at home, what's your go-to roast level, what flavors do you like in your coffee, and the first bag they sent me was spot on. They will curate to your coffee needs. The coffee was fresh. It smelled amazing. And it was honestly so much better than the grocery store coffee. It ruined the grocery store coffee for me. And right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's trade, TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. If you're watching on YouTube today, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. Help us get closer to our next goal of 14,000 subscribers. If you're liking the video, throw a like on it and leave a comment. How many runs do you want to see the Mets score this weekend? Is it over 15? I think I might be there. Let's see them really light up the scoreboard. Hopefully that actually comes to fruition. Now let's talk about some of the rehabbing pitchers. You got Paul Blackburn, who has been ready, let's be honest. But he got another rehab start on Wednesday, went 6 1/3, and allowed just 2 runs on 4 hits, walked 2, got up to 84 pitches. So Blackburn is ready to go. He's now made 7 rehab starts, although he did get sick after the first one, which sort of delayed things and reset his rehab clock. So since then, he has made 6 starts. Altogether in the 7 starts, he has a 3.68 ERA with a 1.09 whip. And if you look at his 4 starts in AAA, he's got a 2.70 ERA with a whip of exactly 1. So he has looked very good lately. Going to be a guy they're going to drop into the rotation in that Dodgers series. The expectation, I would think, would be to have Tyler McGill to start the first game of the Dodgers series, have Blackburn start on Tuesday, because McGill would be on 5 days rest on Monday. Blackburn would be on 5 days rest on Tuesday. Obviously, Blackburn can pitch on 4 days rest, but I don't know why you would push McGill to 6 days rest. So that's how I think they do it. And then the Mets have a decision to make. When it comes to bringing him up, I imagine they might have a new arm in that bullpen this weekend with Brandon Waddell going down. So whoever that new arm is likely goes down for Blackburn, or because you have an option on McGill, the Mets could theoretically just make that roster move. McGill for Blackburn and send McGill down. As we talked about earlier this week, because of off days on not this upcoming Monday, but the following one and the one after that on the 9th and the 16th of June, the Mets can get by with the 5-man rotation until I believe it is June 23rd when Kodai Senga would officially need an extra day's rest. So theoretically, you can send McGill down and bring him right back up after having already served his 15 days on assignment in AAA, and he can make the next spot start. But also, there's a world where McGill can make a start on Monday, and if it's not good, you might not see him for a while, because you also have coming up here soon Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas is getting closer and closer to a return. He pitched on, was it Thursday? Yeah, Thursday, went 3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks. This was in Brooklyn. Struck out 3, was up to 49 pitches. So that was definitely an improvement over his last outing, where I think he gave up, don't quote me on this, I want to say 3 runs in about an inning, and then he went back out there and grabbed 1 more out and just got his pitch count up before he was pulled in the second inning. So he at least finished 3 innings this time, gave up the 2 runs on 2 hits, 2 walks, but got up to 49 pitches. And if you look at how long it took Blackburn to get ready, which was, you can now say 6 starts, but he was ready after 5. I mean, there was the one before he got sick, but I would say 5 rehab starts typically can be enough. Right now he's at 49 pitches. Next time out, maybe he gets over 60 to 65. Next time, maybe you can get to 75. So once you're through your 4th rehab start, he very well could be knocking on the door of a full, workload. Give him a 5th one to get him over 80 pitches, closer to 85. And then typically that's stretched out enough where they'd be good bringing him up. And even if he has to still work himself into a rhythm a little bit more in the big leagues, he can do that. And if he does make just 5 rehab starts, he could return on the 18th of June. If he makes 6 rehab starts, he'd be good to go on regular rest on the 23rd. So that's where I say, you never know. Tyler McGill is kind of pitching for his life on Monday. because if it's a bad start, they can just pack them away in Syracuse and wait until an injury opens a door for them. And you could really go with a 5-man rotation that's Senga, Peterson, Holmes, Canning, and Blackburn. And then when Montas comes back, then you have to decide 6-man rotation or 5-man rotation with Blackburn in the bullpen. It really just depends on how Blackburn's been pitching. But that's really where things are at. The one part of this whole element that does have my wheels turning a little bit is, do the Mets have a reliever that's worth carrying over Tyler McGill? Because there's a world where maybe it just makes the most sense to make McGill or Blackburn your long man and keep them in the bullpen and keep maybe some better arms up at the big league level. The options the Mets have, you have Austin Warren, who has not allowed a run in his last 5 appearances, has 10 walks compared to, 10 strikeouts compared to, I definitely wrote that wrong. There's no way he has 10 walks compared to 2 strikeouts. I definitely had that flipped. 10 strikeouts and 2 walks in 8 1/3. If he had walked 10 in 8 1/3 and had not given up a run, I'd be very surprised. So Austin Warren is throwing the ball well. Grant Hartwig has struck out 16 in his last 10 1/3 across 9 appearances. Rico Garcia has allowed just 2 runs and 4 hits across his last 10 2/3, 11 strikeouts to 4 walks. Chris Devanski has allowed 2 earned runs, has not issued a walk in his last 9 innings pitched. Devanski and Warren are on the 40. Ty Adcock is on the 40 as well, but he isn't pitching that great. Same thing can be said for Tyler Zuber. And then the only other guy is Daniel Nunez. But Daniel Nunez just had an outing that I watched tonight because Blade Tidwell was working on a no-hitter, so I turned that game on. And that no-hitter was carried through 5 2/3 from Tidwell. He had walked the last 2 batters that he faced. That brought him to 4 walks in the day, but he struck out 11. So a great start by Blade Tidwell. Daniel Nunez came in and tried to preserve the no-hitter, but more importantly, to strand those 2 inherited runners. He walked a batter, then gave up 2 hits. So both of the inherited runners scored as well as one of his own. Still looked like he didn't really have feel for his slider. Still didn't look like he had the pinpoint command of his fastball. I don't think Daniel Nunez is ready to be an impact arm in this bullpen. So if he's not on the table, and then you're just talking about Austin Warren or Chris Devanski, I could certainly see the argument that maybe it's fine to stick one of those guys in your bullpen and just have them pitch from there for a while. We saw Adrian Hauser provide a role for the Mets last season, going from not doing well in the rotation. He slides into the bullpen and did pretty well for a little bit until they eventually did cut him, but that took a while. So that could be Blackburn this year. That could be McGill. I think it's going to be one of those situations where the start against the Dodgers for both of them is going to be a little bit of a deciding factor. How good do they look? That really might tell the tale. If Tyler McGill goes out on Monday against that Dodgers lineup at Dodger Stadium and goes 6 scoreless, going to be a little bit harder to pull him from the rotation. If he has another bad start where he gives up 5 runs, doesn't make it out of the 4th, I think you just demote him. And you say, all right, go there and keep working on stuff in Syracuse. We'll call you if we need you. And you might not need him because after Montas comes back, you might be just 2 weeks removed from getting Sean Manaea. At that point, there's clearly no room for McGill. There might not be any room for Blackburn. There probably isn't. And for all we know, I mean, even a guy like Griffin Canning, if he had some more struggles after 2 bad starts now, even he could be theoretically on a hot seat. I don't think so. I think he'll figure it out. I think there's just a couple shaky starts in a row. But it's going to be a real competition to hold on to those starting spots, especially if they stick with the 5-man rotation. I think it'll probably be a 6-man rotation when they get everybody back, because that'll also protect those 2 guys that have come off the IL with Manaea and Montas and continue to protect Senga, as well as even a David Peterson, Clay Holmes, who's making the transition. Like, nothing wrong with giving all these guys extra rest and playing that long game where hopefully all of your starting pitchers might be fresher by the time you get to October. I want to talk about prospects, but also a little side note, because we're going to focus on pitching prospects. I almost said processes. We're going to focus on pitching prospects for this week's Farm Report. Got to mention Ronnie Mauricio, another big game tonight, 2 for 4 with a walk, hit another homer. He's hitting .560 in AAA, 3 home runs now with Syracuse. Getting a little bit hard to deny that he looks really good. At the same time, I've watched all these home runs now. I mean, hits the ball a long way, not taking that away from him. I don't know if he's going to see pitches like that in the big leagues. And we're talking about hanging breaking balls on a tee and fastballs down the middle. You still got to hit them out. But I don't think that he's going to come up to the big leagues and hit 500. Could he be a better option than Jared Young? Potentially. I think right now, Jared Young is worth giving a little bit of run to, and Ronnie Mauricio, let him tear the cover off the ball in AAA for a little bit. The more at-bats he gets, the better it's going to look whenever he does eventually get the call to join this big league roster. But we're going to close the show with some prospect talk. I'll get to all of that in just a minute. Today's episode is brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. If you're an everydayer that's always tuning into the show, make sure you become a Locked On Mets insider. This is our texting service where you get updates from anytime news breaks in the Mets. You can ask a question anytime, take part in our Locked On Mets signed photo giveaways, and get the live graphics sent to your phone so you know who's in the starting lineup without ever having to go on social media. If you want to be a Locked On Mets insider, find the link in the episode description or go to subtext.com/LockedOnMets. I talked about Blade Tidwell a little bit there in the last segment. A great start tonight. 5 2/3, 11 strikeouts, 4 walks, no hits. On the season now, Blade Tidwell has a 3.97 ERA in 10 starts in AAA, 61 strikeouts in 47 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.17 whip. Brandon Spro, the supposed top pitching prospect in the Mets system, although I think at this point you probably can call Nolan McLean the top pitching prospect in the system, and some might even say Jonah Tong is at number 2 with the struggles that Spro has had this season. He's got a 6.31 ERA in 10 starts with only 31 strikeouts and 41 1/3 innings pitched, a 1.43 whip. Last year, Brandon Spro made 11 starts in AA. He had walked 15 batters in 62 1/3 innings pitched. Now he has 17 walks and 41 1/3 innings pitched. So 2 more walks and about 20 less innings pitched. That shows you the lack of command. The strikeout drop-off is stark. 31 strikeouts in 41 1/3 innings pitched compared to 77 last year and 62 1/3 innings pitched. Yes, it's 19 less innings to be exact, but 46 more strikeouts, and the strikeout per 9 last year was over 11. This year it's under 7. So drastic drop-off in his production. Granted, it is a tougher level, but he's not adjusting to it. Now, his most recent start was not bad. He allowed 2 runs off of 7 hits with no walks, 4 strikeouts, and 5 innings pitched. That was only the 3rd time this year he made it through 5. It's hard to really know exactly what's going on with Spro, but it just seems like the command has completely eluded him. And I think there was a little bit of a concerted effort on his part to live in the zone a little bit more and try to pitch to contact. Well, now it seems like when he's in the zone, it's over the plate. And I mean, that sounds obvious. I mean, over the heart of the plate, he's not working the edges well, and he's missing when he is trying to. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for Spro, but he does not right now look like someone you could even consider being part of the mix at any point this season. Things can change, but I feel like he needs a full year in AAA to try to figure himself out, and hopefully he can come out the other side of it and still be one of the top pitching prospects in baseball, because a lot of that shine is going to be off right now. I know we have an update coming for Just Baseball. Our top 100 update is coming on, I believe it's on Monday or Tuesday this upcoming week here. Jonah Tong is going to be a new addition. I know Nolan McLean is going to be on that list, and I would not be surprised if he broke the top 50. Brandon Sproat, who was the highest on the list before the season, he's going to drop, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Arm dropped him off, because it's been a bad year for him. Meanwhile, Nolan McLean having no problems adjusting to AAA. His most recent start, he allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, 2 walks, went 5 1/3. He's made 4 starts in AAA, has allowed just 6 runs in 23 1/3 innings pitched. So he's got a 2.31 ERA. He's been awesome, and he was even better in AA. But to come up and 4 starts in, he's had 2 where he hasn't given up any runs, 1 where he gave up 2, 1 where he gave up 4. He's pitching really well. And if there is an arm right now that is in the minor leagues that could impact the Mets this season, I think it's without a doubt Nolan McLean. You're talking about a guy that if the Mets wanted to, around the deadline, they could just make the decision. All right, you know what? Instead of going out and trading for some lights-out reliever, we're going to do the Corbin Burnes thing, which David Stearns did when he was running the Brewers, and it was 2021, I believe. And he had, was it 2021? Right now, it might have been 2018. Don't quote me on the year. I don't think it was 2021 because I think he might have won his Cy Young in 2021. So it was probably 2018 or 2019. Whatever year the Brewers went to the NLCS. Let's look that up really quick. That'll be the easiest way for me to find this. Brewers, NLCS, Dodgers. 2018. Lost in 7 games. Corbin Burnes was great in the playoffs for them that year. And it was around July where they started to shorten him up. They had him pitch out of the bullpen in AAA for a little bit, and they called him out to be a reliever, and he was unbelievable. So I think there is a chance that we could see that with Nolan McLean because he has an absolutely disgusting sweeper. And if he just decided to go fastball sweeper and be a reliever, I mean, this year I feel like he would be a lights out late inning reliever for the Mets if they decided to go that way. Looking back, it was 2018. He pitched 38 innings out of the bullpen, had a 2.61 ERA, and then when it came time to go into the playoffs, still out of the bullpen, he pitched 2 games in the NLDS, 4 innings, did not allow runs, struck out 5, went 5 innings in the NLCS, and he gave up 2 earned runs, had a 3.60 ERA, struck out 6. So really good stuff from Corbin Burnes back then, and I could see Nolan McLean following a similar blueprint, or he could be a starting pitcher in this rotation. I just think the Mets have so much depth there that it's unlikely that a top prospect is going to impact the rotation. Granted, Blade Tidwell already did make a spot start, and he's on the 40-man roster, but I don't know if I see – I mean, theoretically, you could shorten up Tidwell too, and he could have success as well as a reliever. I just think McLean has the best stuff right now, probably in the system. So I think if they were going to do it, it would probably be with McLean. Now, another guy that could be up in AAA soon is Jonah Tong. He had another good start this week, allowed just 1 run in 6 innings pitched, walked 4, but struck out 7, allowed 3 hits. Across 9 starts this year, Tong has a 2.25 ERA and 72 strikeouts in 44 innings pitched. That is a strikeout per 9 rate of 15.75. That is elite, elite, elite. Tong, when he comes up to AAA, I'll be very not concerned. I'll be very curious how the walk rates translate because you're going to get some more selective hitters. They're going to be able to identify his secondaries a little bit better. This is still a guy that is largely dominating off the back of his elite fastball. He does have a good curveball. He's working on the changeup. It's an arsenal that he is trying to round out, and I think there is hope that he'll be able to do so. But upper level hitters, the closer you get to the big leagues, are better at limiting some pitches. And if you can have a hitter that can just basically identify and not take any hacks at the curveball or the changeup and is only looking for a fastball, can just sit fastball and has the ability to catch up to fastballs up in the zone, that's when you start to get hit hard too. So I think it's going to be a very tough task for him to go into AAA and have immediate success. But he's pitching so well in AA that you can make an argument that that level isn't challenging him enough. So Jonah Tong is definitely getting closer and closer to joining Blade Tidwell, Brandon Spro, and Nolan McLean in that AAA rotation. Now, another guy that is pitching well in AA is Jack Wenninger. He's still got a sub-3 ERA in 9 starts. Zach Thornton, left-handed pitcher who was great in Brooklyn, had a 0.44 ERA in 4 starts, got the call up to AA, is at a 2.84 ERA in 5 starts. So he continues to pitch well. In Brooklyn, Noah Hall is leading that rotation with a 2.86 ERA in 9 games, 8 starts, 46 strikeouts, 44 innings pitched. He's been very solid as well. Jonathan Santucci, who started the season and really struggled, had an 8.14 ERA across his first 6 starts. I clearly jinxed him because I predicted that Santucci was going to be the pitcher of the year for the New York Mets. I think that's going to be McLean right now in the system, although Tong is not making it easy on him. Those two guys definitely battling for it. Brandon Spro won the award last year, so I mean he's out based on how he's pitched, but typically these guys don't win the awards back to back. They like to spread out the player and the pitcher of the year across different prospects in the system. Right now, McLean and Tong are the two favorites, but again, I had predicted it was going to be Santucci going into the season, and he started off brutal. The Mets second round pick from last year has been a lot better lately. He went 5 scoreless innings of 1 hit ball on May 16th. Then he allowed 1 run on 3 hits in 5 innings on the 23rd. He followed up Frankie Montas' rehab start today, went 5 1/3, allowed just 2 hits, walked 2, did not give up a run, struck out 6. So he has lowered that ERA by over 3 runs from 8.14 to 4.95. Good to see him finally having success. Hopefully he can sustain that for a while. You never know. Maybe Santucci can end up in Binghamton by the end of this season, but I would just settle for some good numbers in Brooklyn all year after what was a pretty horrendous start for him. Final pitching prospect to discuss on today's show, Matt Allen. He's made 2 starts so far in Brooklyn, but they're still not stretching him out. He's only thrown 2 1/3 innings. He's allowed just 1 hit. He's walked 4. He's hit a batter. He has not allowed a run yet in Brooklyn. Just good that he's still healthy, but they're clearly keeping the bubble wrap on him throughout this season, where he's only going out there and throwing pretty much an inning at a time as his start. Maybe it's a couple innings if it's a quick first. So they're definitely monitoring him very closely, as they should, as the guy hadn't pitched in a game since 2019. So that's where we're at with some of the top pitching prospects in the Mets system. A lot of exciting stuff. The top 3 of Sproat, McLean, and Tong is really exciting. Factoring in Sproat struggles, but still the way McLean's thrown it, the way that Tong is thrown, it's been really impressive. You still have a couple of really enticing arms with Blade Tidwell, with Jack Wenninger, Jonathan Santucci, Noah Hall. All these guys I think would hold some trade value at the deadline, but particularly these guys that are performing well. That just gives you more in the holster if and when you do make a trade. And if you're curious about who the Mets could trade for and you did not catch yesterday's show, had a little fun doing a way too early trade deadline preview where I broke down some of the star players that could be available at this year's deadline. On tomorrow's show, I will be recapping whatever happens on Friday night. This team better hit. We'll hope that there's going to be a nice big Mets win that we can discuss. And of course, I'll always keep you plugged in on the farm system this week, and I'd like to do an update on some of the hitters, but we will just see where the big league club takes us when it comes to storylines, what we have time for. I also will not be doing video shows the next couple days, taking my wife on a little weekend getaway, but I'll still have my laptop and a mic, so I'll be doing audio-only shows that you'll still have on Saturday and Sunday, and I'll be back home ready to record a video on Sunday night, so your Monday morning show next week will be same as always, video and audio, but it'll all go up for you. So make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you still will get those episodes. They'll just be audio only. So you don't have to go anywhere else to find them. You can subscribe so you don't miss whenever those shows are released. If you are listening on the audio side, same thing as always for you. Follow, rate, and review wherever you get your podcast. You can follow me on social media, Finkelstein Ryan. Follow the show, Locked On Mets. Thank you for making Locked On Mets your first listener, your first watch every day. And after your second watch, check out Locked On MLB Game Night, the show that'll take you around Major League Baseball action with insight from all of our local experts. You can find Locked On MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On MLB podcast feed.